Okay guys, let's convert liters to milliliters. One thing you already know because you watched that in the previous video is that 1 liter is 1000 milliliters, which means that milliliters are the teeny tiny unit of liters, right? So if you put 1000 milliliters together, you will have a whole liter. This is 500 milliliters, okay? Fine. How do we do that? You watched in the previous video, if 1 liter is 1000 milliliters, how much would 5 liters be? I know for you it's very easy because you just multiply 5 times 1000, which is 5000. But I want you to learn this in the place value grid with decimal points. And there is a reason you're going to do that, because your activity now is to convert liters to milliliters including decimal points. So let's start with whole numbers. We have 5 here, 5 liters, and every single number, even if it's a whole number, has a decimal point on the right. We don't use that when we don't have more numbers on the right, but every number has that. So we only put decimal points when we have more numbers on the right, like any other number, 5.2, that's a decimal point. This means that after the decimal point, you have smaller units than the unit. So this would be called tenth because it's 1/10 of 1 unit. This would be hundredths. Can you see here? Hundredths, because it's 1/100th of 1 unit. And this would be 1000 of 1 unit, and so on. You can keep going till the infinite or something. Fine. 5 liters to milliliters. I'm going to place 5 in the place value grid. As I said before, every number has a decimal point on the right. If we multiply 5 times 10, we will get 50, right? 5 times 10 equals 50. So what happened to this number? It goes, instead of staying in the ones, it jumps to the tens, right? 5 times 10 becomes 50. 5 times 100 is 500. So again, it jumps to the hundreds, right? And it becomes a 0. 5 times 100 is 500. 5 times 1000 is 5000, which means that goes from the ones to the thousands. What is moving here? The number is becoming bigger. And it's very important that you get to understand that. The decimal point will stay here forever. It doesn't move, right? The reason I'm explaining this is so you can understand 5 times 1000 is 5000 milliliters. But what happens when you have decimal points? So 5.4 liters would be how many milliliters? So let's work with that. So erase this, and 5 decimal point 4. If you multiply this number 5.4 by 10, what happens? Well, again, the 5 ones becomes 5 tenths. The 5 tenths becomes 4 ones. Therefore, we don't need that decimal point, but that's just 5.4 times 10. What happens if it is times 100? Again, we move both numbers because then they become bigger, 10 times bigger. So we move them again, 54, and now we have a space left. What happens? We put a 0 because we have no ones. Times 1000, which is where we want to get. What happens? Again, we move the whole number one space because it becomes bigger. And then we have nothing under the tens, so 0, 0. The decimal point remains in the same place, stays in the same place. So 5.4 liters is 5,400 milliliters. The decimal point never moves. It stays there. The number is the one that becomes bigger. So now it's your turn. Hopefully this is going to be very, very easy for you as soon as you start practicing it. If you have doubts or questions, please let me Sarkas know. Goodbye. Have a beautiful day.